Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 199, and today we're going to be doing battle in the Gauntlet. And so we are at the height of the Dark Saga domination. The meta is rife with both Seraphine and Vayne. And I think if you're going to be jumping into the Gauntlet, that's probably where you have to be taking your start. Now, I will concede that the strategy we're about to do is kind of off base. I know we're doing it backwards, and I'm kind of okay with that, but I'll continue forward and on. The big thing I think we should be doing right now, more than anything, is probably just banning Seraphine. As we've seen some of the larger European leagues running around, it is just Seraphine everywhere, and you have to just be completely ready to do battle against her. But as we go into events like Gauntlet, you just don't see these champions in the same numbers that you do out in the wild. And so, well, I do think if we were playing in some kind of big competitive tournament, it would be a fair idea to just plan to actually play against Seraphine in every single match. I don't think that that's realistically a thing here. Kind of part two of that is whether or not you even want to do it, right? If you want to take your 55% win rate into Seraphine deck over and over and over again all day, that's something you're more than capable of doing. That's what we tried to do against Nami in the previous seasonals, and we were unsuccessful in our endeavors. And so it's probably just in your best interest to just ban out the best deck, just come out and ban out Seraphine. You should probably just bring it yourself as well, but I have no real desire to play that deck. I tried it in the beginning. I gave it a solid effort, and it's just not for me. And so we have to move on from it. And so that leaves us in this space to where we should be expecting to ban Seraphine and then play against Jax. And our lineup is actually going to be doing it's built to do the opposite of that, but it's not going to be what we're actually going to do. And so where this is kind of going is the decks that are, good against Seraphine, the decks like, say, Scouts. Scouts is a perfect example. It carries something like a 52% win rate against Seraphine, and it gets pretty well domed by Jax. And so all the decks we're going to be playing today are in kind of the same light of Scouts. We're going to be playing Taric, we're going to play Jax Vayne, and we're going to play Swain Misfortune Pirates. I do recognize and fully concede that right up front that we should leave Seraphine up and just ban Jax, but I have no intention of actually playing against Seraphine. It's like this is the fun days for me where we actually get to come out and just ban it and not have to deal with it, and I'm going to take full advantage of that while we can. So I'm hoping the strength of our play, the strength of our lineup will carry us on beyond that. Hopefully we can just dodge Seraphine for a while and maybe get some good bans in, or maybe we don't run into the big Vayne lineups that are going to cause us some problems, and we can have a nice cruising to victory for here. And so, to pull up the deck list real quick, we did mention we are playing Taric. This is the exact same list that we took to Seasonals. I think this is quite good and strong. It has my recommendation of no one-drops. We aren't playing Frightened Ibex. We aren't playing, whatchamacallit, the Fated unit. There we go. I can never remember his name. We aren't playing those. We do have Taric in here because I think it's extremely important to have a unit on either the first or the second turn, but not so much both. And so I cut things off at Taric. The space here, I could see making some changes, or perhaps cutting out Ranger's Resolve. This is a card that it was in its kind of heyday in that previous set when, say, both Nami Twisted Fate was playing Make It Rain, the Swain decks were playing Make It Rain, Scouts had Make It Rains. There's tons of Make It Rains everywhere, but it's also good against really wide boards. And this isn't the exact meta we're running into right now. I don't think it's going to be that strong against kind of the prime opponents in things like Jax Vayne, but it should hopefully still play a powerful role in the kind of side decks. And so wasn't quite willing to take the Ranger's Resolve out, but if you're looking to make edits, this is the first place I would start. Onto Jax Vayne, we're playing our exact same list from the video we did earlier in the week. Has the full complement of cheap weapon masters in it, the 3 harpies up at the top end. We're playing our 1 Acacian Myth, so you can get the golden spatula for the memes, and I'm pretty happy with everything happening within this list. Last but not least, we have Swain Misfortune. This is pretty close to what we played in seasonals. The changes that we've made here since then are we've cut out 1 copy of Make It Rain, and we've cut out 1 copy of not Mirai Warden. We cut out 1 copy of Shell Shocker. There we go. We dropped down to exactly 10 1-drops to add in a 2nd copy of Heavy Metal. This is just incredibly powerful in the current meta. Literally every deck in the format is running equipment, and if we're looking to ban out Seraphine, I could definitely look towards bringing a more heavy metal focused lineup. So we're going to have 2 of those today, and then we added in the 2nd copy of Ionian Hookmaster, just give us a little bit more longevity in these games. And so that is it. Let's go ahead and head on into battle. I looked at the pay to win price, and we are pretty well paid up with these decks, and so you can imagine the decks that we took to seasonals are pretty locked and loaded in terms of having their cards turn premium, and so be lots of shinies out here for everyone. Okay, and so this is more along the lines of what I was hoping may turn out in some of these matchups. Seraphine just doesn't exist in this one, so we're able to come out and ban Vayne. I think this is going to be pretty safe. I do worry that this Alawi deck is going to have many of the similar play patterns that we would see out of Vayne, and I'm also worried here that we've left up 2 Freylord decks. And so while this deck isn't as super all-in-y on the idea of having that big super unit attacking over and over again, we're most certainly going to be running into a bunch of Frostbites against this Aurelian Soul. Oh, I thought this was Aurelian Soul Freylord. I thought this was going to be Targon Ramp. Maybe still close, but most certainly against the other decks, I worry about it just a little bit. All right, nice collection of dudes out here. I'm going to go ahead and drop the Ionian Hookmaster. This strikes me as a deck that's probably playing Quietus, and so I'll go ahead and leave our Jax behind for the moment. Let him rest. Let him save that Overwhelm weapon for a moment in the future. All right, we'll see how this goes. My concern here was that I want to play the Wandering Shepherd onto the Elkin. Looks like we can pick up an Overwhelm out of this. Both options are good. When we don't have the Veins, I'm kind of more tempted to go for that more standard Overwhelm strategy. But now I figure we're going to be attacking with the Wandering Shepherd, and I don't want it to just be a pure shutdown on the Sunhawk. He had a second one. He's going to get the shutdown there, but we're kind of in the same place. Interesting, he doesn't block our 2/2, and that we're going to continue to drop these smaller-ish units. And I'd like to weaken up the Sunhawk so the 2-power Shepherd, the 2-power Elkin are able to take it down in combat.
They forced us to choose death or the blade.
All right. It's like we have such a unit-heavy hand that I'm not as excited about the combat reel. Let's take the fix 'em up. There's a Quietus. So I do worry about this a little bit. We haven't built up too much. We haven't built up into the lands of having our opponent close to dead. We don't have a lot going on here, and so we'll see. We'll see. It's a little scary when opponent decides to just stop at 8 mana. I'm not going to play Jax this turn. We have some opportunities with him in terms of having protection with the other Jax in our hand. So I'm just going to play him a little bit slower here.
No recourse.
A nice little chunk of damage coming in. A little bit of little 9-piece nugget. Smaller than a 10-piece. It's like when you go to Mickey D's and they mess up your order, you only get a 9-piece nugget. It's terrible. It's horrible. I've never had it happen. I can't imagine that mistake has ever happened, but you know, you gotta you gotta worry about it on occasion. Sure. Stuff's happening. Doesn't seem too horrible. He's down to 3 cards. He hasn't managed to drop an Aphelios or a Senna yet. We get to start bringing in the heavy hitters. It's tough to kill Bro here. First time I die, I say, nah, man, not dead. That's what the harpy does. Oh, man, let's get that shit out of here. Equipped ally. Strike an enemy. He's going to be down to 2 mana, and then next turn we can open with an equipment to re-protect our harpy. Okay, okay, I'm on board. I don't know what level of on board you all are, but I'm on board. Concerted Strike is an interesting pickup here, but I think that since we already have the fish fight in hand, we can be a little less aggressive with this thing. All right, not a bad play from opponent. This ain't just a lamp. What? Why does he whoa, 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 this ain't just a lamp? What is this thing then? Oh, Jax. Alright, let's get some magic happening here. I don't expect too much out of opponent here if they're holding back on 4 mana. We have an option to just not attack with the Elkin, but we're punching in a lot of damage here. Opponent's throwing up the GG. He says, that's too much, Bust. That's too much. All right. Victory unlocked without the usage of Vayne. Good stuff. Opponent's doing pretty well on the skins, though. I just realized that. Check that out. Pulse Fire Aphelios. I don't know which Senna this is. Is that Star Guardian? That looks very Star Guardian-y. Looks like she's got a big-ass sword. It doesn't look as swordy up here, but any rate, in these matches, I do like to hang on to Poppy. You'll run into these spots to where you have this board and it's got like a Tyari and it's got a bird. It just doesn't really deal any damage. And Poppy guarantees that we're going to be out here dealing damage. So the mulligan that we received is exactly why I don't like to hang on to these 4-cost cards, right? As we make this big mulligan, we land with a Taric and a Poppy in our hand. It's a bit of a burden to get this stuff onto the board quickly. So hopefully recover out of it. That was a nice pickup here in the Protege to ensure we get to keep spending our mana. And a Moon Boy. Okay. Curious what he goes for, if he goes for a double stun or if he goes for a 3 damage. Man, to quiet us. Bringing us many pains. All right, well, Who's going to be the safer option? Now, the downside to adding Poppy is if he's going to have like a 1 damage source, if he's going to have a Go Hard, if he's going to have a Pale Cascade, a Unspeakable Horror, like whatever opponent's doing, if he has a 1 mana source, a 1 damage thing, he's going to be taking down our Poppy. And so I feel a little bit safer just getting Taric on the board as the means to be our attacker for the round. And then the other kind of nice thing with Taric is he ties in with these Mountain Sojourners, right? So we have the other support unit to help chain through all of these support plays. Battlestar. We knew it was there. We saw that in the last one. But I'll be honest with you. I've played around Battlestar a total of 0 times in my life, and that included all of the time that we spent playing Expedition. Now, this is always an interesting spot with Poppy Taric, is if you're able to put the Mountain Sojourners on the board and then open attack on the next turn, it gives you the opportunity to spread out those +2/+2s before your opponent has a chance to react. I'm not quite there. I don't think we quite have it. The space that we're kind of hoping to find ourselves in is that we can add Poppy. That does leave us in the same spot, right? We can have Poppy on the board. We can open attack next turn if we want, and then spread out those bonuses, even if opponent starts to add, moon weapons to their hand. The other thing to kind of look out for, though, is we have the Relentless Pursuit along with the Taric, and that puts us in these spots to where we can go for the big rally combo. But I think the big rally combo is what we would be shooting for next turn on turn 7. That was a perfect draw in the Pale Cascade. So right now we have the 2 mana for the Pale Cascade. If we need to play it, fine, but this needs to be like a really high-powered, high-targeted Pale Cascade, because next turn we're going to look to Relentless Pursuit Taric. So if he has like a damage spell to try and kill the Poppy, a damage spell to try and kill the Mountain Sojourners, then I'm kind of interested. But with this indisputable damage, there's no reason to stop. Wow. He's got a Calibrum in hand. I'm really surprised he's getting his Felios involved here. Second Moon Boy. Okay. Interesting with Esmith, gives us that opportunity for another real big turn next turn. Not as much now that our Sojourners just got popped, but I don't think he's going to be like bringing a lot. Let's do this. Let's get the Sojourners on board. It should keep his Aphelios from attacking. Then we can get Esmith down. Yeah, I was planning on open attacking, but the weapons are coming at us in full force. Got a Gravitum in hand. He's gonna shut it all down. Well, the main flurry is over, and so if we can make it around to our opponent's next turn, right? Because we're not going to get a ton happening on our turn, then maybe we'll get something happening. The bird. Well, I mean, we can still attack 3 times this turn. We're not out of it just yet. I would prefer to be getting these big attacks happening with the Mountain Sojourners being a part of the action, but we'll see. The other thing we can look to do is just Pale Cascade into Taric so we get to draw some cards. I'm not as amped about it. Drawing cards isn't just... it's not for everyone, You know, some people want to draw cards, some people want to be attacking. I'm just in the camp of let's attack a little bit. Oh fuck. Ow. That's one way to do it. Not on my radar whatsoever. Well, I would say that this game is probably over at this point. I have to assume that if you're in the space of killing off your own Aphelios to get this stuff happening, that you've probably got it. Oh. I'm boozled by these choices here. It's way more than bamboozled. Or is that less? Less boozled would just be less, I think. I mean, sure. It's like I don't get it. You spend so much time like protecting the board and building everything up just to drop a get out of the way or whatever that thing was called. Like, what combat tricks are even in this deck? Looks like we're about to find out. Gotta check. This game's gone on for a while. You gotta check if he's about to hit deep. Not quite. Not quite. Just gonna give us an Aurelian Soul to make it an easy concession button. All right. Well, the game drags on. It's like I feel like we're at just the edge of being able to pull this off. Just the edge. Let's see what we draw now. Warazi. Turns out that's not a lethal. Oh, that sucks though. His dragon goes up to 8. That's okay. We'll be up to 9s, right? If we Harazi the Poppy, they'll both be 8/8s. Then Poppy will activate and take him up to 9s. Okay, okay. The angle has been found. It's not an unspeakable horror. Look at the size of those units. Hmm. Hmm. What is this thing? Take a peek. What are these? Some kind of demon-y thing? I don't know what the Darken are. I guess the Darken are what the Darken are. Alright. Uh-oh, we're getting emotes now. Not sure what that one was. I don't think I've ever seen that one in my life. Look at all these 3-power attackers ready to shut this down. Oh boy. Oh boy, he's only got 1 million cards in hand. Nothing could go wrong here. Alright. I feel like that one was safely over with the Ruination. But man, with this deck, those cards turn up. You feel it's like so close. So close. Alright, one more battle. Up against Udyr Alawi. Alawi kind of scares me with these matches. We don't have a lot of that real interactivity that you want to take down Alawi with. And then she's very good at taking down a wide board and just punching through. But I'm not exactly sure what we're going to be seeing out of this Udyr Alawi. I feel like it's going to be giving us ample amount of time to set up our combos. And our combos are both a little bit faster and a little bit stronger than what they're doing. So here, we'll hang on to Esmith and Tyari, look for a challenger. Looked pretty good. The big thing to note, we're on the even attack, so we're not going to get to hit with the Sojourners until turn 6. But, like, I just don't suspect this deck has much interactivity in it. I feel like we're going to be able to kind of like overpower it here in the early game.
Beagle shows them where their spells can help. Magic guide us.
Okay. Got a couple of options here. It's like I'm not entirely certain I want to drop Poppy because we have this big chain of units that we can drop on the board with the Tyaris spreading those stats out. Okay. Then the bonus did land on one of our Tyaris, gives us a little bit more incentive to get him into combat. Right, just playing Poppy into the single protege doesn't feel that spectacular.
One foot in front of the other.
So we'll lead with the big one. If he does something weird here to where we need the bonus stats, we did just pick up the Pale Cascade for the turn. And if we have to stop right here, then I'll feel a little bit safer. Tentacles are getting a little out of hand. Not a lot that we could actually do about it, but hopefully now that they've spent their 8 mana, it'll take them quite a while to build back up. Like, I think we're okay if he just comes down and plays Udyr. Take a little bit. Well, that would be pretty decent with the stance swap, getting an AoE to kill our Tyari.
Just a little farther.
Right behind you.
Goes for it. Sure. We could have looked to have gone for, say, like lead with Poppy here and then play the combat trick onto the Sojourners, but that's a little like we have to come up with a way to win the game at some point, right? That doesn't really feel like it's doing it. Now I feel a little better pivoting away from Poppy, though. Since we picked up the Broadwing, we can add Tyari and then do the support chain here and still have a little bit of backup in the sharp sight, and then try to come in with the big open attacks next turn. I like it.
Stay focused. Everyone okay?
To give me them juicy stats. the downside to a little bit of this is our Poppy isn't going to be particularly strong at boosting the board anymore, but you know, one problem at a time. One problem at a time. Naga Kaboros surrounds us. So scary. So scary when you get to talking the Sea's voice. For 1 damage. Is he just going after our Sojourners?
I just know the hero's around here somewhere.
Well, I don't feel like particularly safe just skipping over Poppy here. Okay. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put the lodestone onto our Sojourners, because I'm going to also play the Harazi next turn, and so I don't want to play the Harazi then have him get a chance to kill our Sojourners down, and so we'll give it that point of health, kind of limit to what opponent's able to do now. Now we have a chance to slam with the Harazi. Probably not going to put it in the support chain. Probably just going to use it to boost the Sojourners, but. Let's see what opponent does. See, this is exactly why I played the support card last turn. This is just a straight up lethal, right?
Brace
can hit us with like harsh winds and stuff. That may have been why I came in and popped the spell shield, but pretty powerful spot right here. I think we got it. GG. So many stats on board. Feels good, man. That's what life's all about. Get them big stats on the board. Drop a GG. Move on with your day. All right, match number 2. What do we got? We got the... is it going to be some kind of like OTK Renekton? I'm not entirely certain what Gnar, Renekton, Braum is trying to do. I just see the Renektons, and that strikes me as an OTK deck, but they aren't playing Vandal City. So that's interesting. We're going to just deal again with this Vayne Zed and ban out the Seraphine. I fully understand. Oh, okay. I guess we'll just take our we'll just take our W and move on. I was going to say I fully understand that we should be banning out Vayne with our lineup and playing against Seraphine. I just have no desire to play against Seraphine at this point, and so you know, sometimes the victories of the brain are all that you need. It's tough. I mean, got a new set of battles coming in here. Very similar lineup, same deal. Man, these are we're gonna have to ban out one of these OTK decks. We're not suited to deal with them. Fucking fine. Fine. But I was going to say, it's tough in terms of being in kind of the right mindset. You do have to remember that you should be out here having fun. And I know that this seems to be a very polarized meta in terms of the amount of bitching going around and whether or not people like it. It seems like this one has gone far beyond the kind of standard let's bitch about everything kind of mentality that we have here in the lands of Runeterra. And so but you got to remember that number one thing is just be out there having fun. And so if you don't like a meta, it's okay. You don't have to play it. You can take a little bit of a break. You can move to the normals. We've been having a good amount of fun in the normals, or I've actually felt a little bit better with these decks as people know what the cards do. And the tempo of these games against Seraphine has actually picked up quite a bit. There's not nearly as much just sitting around and taking forever because you have to put a lot of brain power into every decision. So since we've gotten past that first week or so, I definitely feel a little bit better with this meta. Here, I'm not going to get too crafty with this combat. I am happy to see him attack with the cultist because I would like to take it down in combat next turn. But he disagrees. Let's see where we're at. Oh, yep. That's it. That's it right there. Not super ideal. I need to find one of our unit boosters. You're looking very meaty, Saga Seeker. You're no friend of Poppy Taric. You can continue to be the friend of Pantheon. And so this will be tough. Like next turn will be kind of a critical turn. If we pick up a Poppy or a Taric or a Mountain Sojourners, then we have a lot of game, right? Ideally, we would be picking up the Mountain Sojourners. But if we just land on a... if we just land on a hand that's trying to put down like a combat trick or a small challenger or something, then we're just gonna lose the game. This is the kind of hand I was talking about in that previous game, as to where you can get on board and you can kill some of their small units and you can get a decent amount of board control, but if you're not actually out here getting kills, then you really start to struggle against some of these matchups. And so that's the spot we're about to run into right now. Is, we can potentially get some decent board happening here, but it's not going to be enough to get the kills on this opponent.
Trust me, and your footing.
Goes after Esmith. I think I'm slightly okay with that. It at least lets us replay the Darkened Lodestone. Gotta find something quick. I got the mana game. Let me replay the Lodestone. All right. Well, Taric is an answer. As long as he's not killing us this turn, we do have this opportunity to drop Taric. We can put the Golden Aegis onto Taric, so he'll be nice and protected in this combat. And then we can look to attack a second time. How greedy are we willing to get with this, though? I think this might be okay. I'm not willing to risk a single and not a single momentous choice. If he has two, then he's got us, right? But I'm not going to risk one. Now we have to start doing stuff. We were like kind of close in the previous one with our... Like, I think if we didn't have to lose our unit there, we would have been okay, but we couldn't not block both of his cultists.
Look sharp. Never submit.
Right now, these attacks are kind of dookie. If you if you want to be real, these attacks are not very good. Ugh. I don't like anything that just happened there. maybe we shouldn't have just gone for that.
True power eclipses both day and night.
To protect all, unyielding.
We're one spell short of the Taric flip. No, he is going to flip, but he's not going to have enough for the good support. You're looking glistening, though, dude. Check those abs. You need something to brighten up your day. Take a look at that pool party Taric. Look at that. He's looking good, dude. Got like a 12-pack. And Varus. Okay. I don't know if we would have been in a better spot if we just hadn't rallied on the previous turn. Yeah, this one's done. We just played the Lodestone and then came into this turn. It's like one of the spots I don't feel super comfortable with Poppy Taric, or finding those spots to where you kind of like preemptively play the rally card, right? It feels like we always want to get maximum value every time. And if we play a rally onto Taric before we use our attack token, it feels like we're losing. But what if we just say that, hey, we're just playing a bad prismatic barrier onto Taric right now. Maybe that feels a little less bad, and something that we can stomach a little bit better, to where it's not just like, oh wow, I'm giving up everything. Because I think that was what we like really needed on that last turn, was having a barrier for both Taric and for the bird, so that we could get the chain of attacks in. Right, we really needed that barrier on the bird to hook into the giant dude. At any rate, moving on, not blocking the guy here just yet. Leading out with Esmith, we'll be dropping the Broadwing as soon as we can next turn. And this is a match to where I'm okay to hang on to the Poppy, right? As we were talking about in these previous games, we get in these spots to where we have a few dudes on the board. Say we have like 5 dudes and we're attacking for 7 damage or so, and the opponent just gets to not care. The Poppy forces them to care. Let's go with the AoE route. A little bit cheaper on the mana, so we can potentially use the Sharp Sight on a following turn. If we spend all 4 mana on a champion next turn, and then we have 1 mana banked up, we can play another 4 mana champion 2 turns from now, and have access to that Sharp Sight mana. But if he was going to play a Ravenous Flock or whatever onto the Esmuth, it would still be dead either way. I can typically see arguments to say, go ahead and play Taric here instead of Poppy, but he's going to have a Ravenous Flock here. I'm just envisioning I'm just going to play Poppy 2 turns in a row, and so under normal circumstances I wouldn't want to add her. I'd want to add Taric, but I think I know that we're going to be getting her going both times. Now this is the spot to where you're going to be able to say like, hey Bust, you're dumb. You could have just You could have just come at this with the different angle. He had that set of removal. If opponent has like a Disintegrate play into the Taric, you're just going to be, slapping yourself for picking the wrong way the other way. But I think this is okay. Now that we've hit a second unit, I'm actually going to move away from the champion path. I'm going to get the Tayari and the Esmuth down, and we're going to look to be in a spot to where we are open attacking with Poppy on our next attack step.
Whatever the journey brings, I welcome it.
All right, the removals have been played. The bonus here is our Esmuth will be fully healed next turn. Jesus. Not a bad collection of stuff. Right, it's currently damaged now. You can hit it with a Ravenous Flock, but when the new turn starts, it'll have his damages removed. But just in case, let's boost up the undamaged one in case he drum solos another spell on us. All right, what you got for us? I feel like we've survived that kind of initial flood of stuff. If we can make it into the next turn, we might be okay. All right, I'm just going to take a little bit here onto Taric. The Disintegrate's fine. Figured there was going to be one at some point. All right, today's the day, Poppy. Let's see if he's got all the removal spells.
Her songs just make you feel like you can do anything. Ready, Hammer? No backing down.
All right, and so then at least the minor perk for us in this game as well is we're getting to this point to where the Esmuth can actually be scary. We can potentially come in and get some of these rally kills with the Esmuths coming in and opponent not having any elusive blockers. We'll have to see if that's what's going to make its way here. I think do we want to just go for one now? If we can get him to give up the Fan Club President, then we get to come in for 6 damage elusive. I think that's good. I mean, he's really low on mana at this point. So I think I'm okay to trade away Poppy with his expensive unit here, and then come in with all this elusive damage. Well, I was hoping to get the trade, but they're still in this lethal space for the next turn. Uh-oh. We're at 9 and 3 cards in hand.
I thought they said this climb would be a challenge.
Scary stuff. Can we fade the Ezreal damage? We're presenting a pretty healthy lethal next turn, but gotta dodge a bunch of spells.
Focus! Brace yourselves!
That's probably too much. Let's see. Did you hit the RNG pinata? let's find out. Looks like he did. He's getting 2 spells on the board here.
Gauntlet.
Yep. All right. Good job, my dude. Whew. But that's why, like, we could have definitely sequenced our champions a little bit differently in that game. I'm happy with how that went, right? That's one of those spaces where you'll certainly find yourself being like, oh crap, I picked wrong because opponent had the disintegrate play instead of like the wide damage play. And so like there were definitely some spots in there where we could have played, say, Taric first, hope that they spend some, removal in a certain way, then follow up with the Poppy next. You can't really beat yourself up if they have the Ravenous Flock first as opposed to having the Disintegrate first. But I guess as I kind of like hear those words come out of my mouth, perhaps we should just put the Tarics down first, since he's not going to survive. Well, it's probably about the same either way. But on to the next one. That's why I don't feel like this is a good meta to be like, well, I'm not going to ban Seraphine, right? Because it's still a pretty challenging matchup. We're in a slightly different space here than the previous one, but again, this looks like another OTK deck coming out of Sejuani, so we're going to ban the Vayne, and then I guess we'll play more games against Seraphine. You asked for it, you're welcome. It's what everybody was wanting. Okay. It's just it's tough for me to think. It's like the meta that could have been for us in terms of the decks that we actually like to play are the ones that are kind of the top dogs against the popular deck in the format, and then we just can't. We can't even stomach playing against the deck we're good against. What a day! What a cruel mistress life can be. All right, we're getting on board. The way that this board is building up is why I say that I'm usually pretty okay with holding on against Poppy against these matchups, right? We're going to be coming down here. We're going to have a protege ready to get a good hook on this Hookmaster. We'll have double Broadwing down. At the end of the day, we should probably have like a full health unit and a weak Broadwing. But opponent isn't like really taking damage from this sequence, and Poppy's what really comes in and threatens all of that damage. All right, we got some birds. Get one of these hooks in. What you got for us, friend? Static Shock Disintegrate, sure. Right. Well, we got some pretty big hopes and dreams tied up into this Poppy. If she doesn't make it into next turn, we're definitely gonna be struggling, and that looks like opponent is getting primed and ready to take her down. But okay, maybe we just got a little respite from the darkness. We'll at least get some bonus attack tokens next turn.
Fine. Are you all online for tickets too?
Hi, Poppy. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah, fishy, fishy. Ready, Hammer? No backing down.
I suspect she's going to struggle here, but if we can win both of these combats and then have Taric on the board, we might be able to assemble something. But see, this is when I'm talking about the strength in Poppy versus the strength in Taric. If you imagine this as just being a Taric on the board, we're not really improving that much, right? We're getting some stuff on board, but like the actual attack damage you need to close out a game just isn't there. So it's like we might have some opportunity next turn, though. Do we want to play the Lodestone? It's like a double rally sounds kind of greedy. I'm going to put the Lodestone on our weakest unit here. This is... I'm not entirely certain what I like here, given that on this next turn, or I should say 2 turns from now, we want to be able to get our Harazi on the board, right? We need to assume something's going to go wrong, and so the units that we have that opponent is going to want to kill are our champions, right? He's going to want to kill Poppy, he's going to want to kill Taric, but if we put the Lodestone on our weakest unit, we may not actually be able to lose it here. Now, luckily, our weakest unit here does have Challenger, and so it gives us the opportunities to just have it die in the middle of combat, but really kind of weakening our abilities to play Harazi next turn. Hopefully, we just don't need it. The fuck was that? Alright, well, he's got 4 mana built up. Let's see if he's got a Disintegrate play for our Taric. We should be having a pretty decent turn if he doesn't have the Disintegrate.
To protect all.
That's the way we want to go. We're going to get the 3/3 bird out of it. Then we're going to boost our Esmuth instead of boosting our Taric. Maybe we need to boost our Taric here. Well, he doesn't have enough damage at the moment. Okay. Oh, shit. I didn't hook. I meant to hook in the Snooze Bottom on the Broadwing. Oops. Little whoopsies. And he has the Disintegrate. Why would... Oh, he had to wait till it got into combat. That makes sense. Alright, well that one's done. GG. Oof.
Outrageous.
Tough stuff right there. All right, onto the Renekton deck. See if we can't get a reverse alley-oop, a 2-0 comeback. Bring us back from the dregs. Opponent's making a big decision here. Maybe he had to go take a pee after that. Yeah, happens. You spend so much time playing Seraphine, you got to go and take a potty break every once in a while. Okay, so again, kind of like when we played against the Udyr deck earlier, they don't have a ton of ways to interact, so I am going to hang on to Poppy here. Now, that's not to say that they don't have any, right? He is playing Renekton. We're probably going to see like Ruthless Predators and Exhausts and stuff coming out to let him pick and choose where he gets to attack, but our Poppy should be moderately safe in this one. Not blocking here. We'll take the value hook next turn. And then I suspect opponent would either be playing a 3 attack, 2 health challenge, or what are those guys called? I can't remember their names. Oh, the Esmuth is actually a great draw here. But it's like I was okay with trading a Taric for one of his dudes, right? When he plays that Tusk Speaker, or he plays the 3-1 Tough, whatever it's called. We always prefer to trade with their units on our attack token, right? So he doesn't get the free overwhelm damage from these guys. We'll see what happens here. We're ready for a decent block with our Laurent Protege. Ideally, we won't lose any units and we'll be built into our Poppy for our next attack token. It's painful. So you got a pretty good unit there. We have to switch to just playing Taric now, right? If we add the Protege, then he just gets to attack with the Tusk Speaker into Esmuth, the 5-3 into whatever, and then we just lose out on everything. And now Pale Cascade. I don't think it's quite enough. Wouldn't be surprised to see him camping on a Troll Chant here. But the Troll Chant doesn't do it against the Broadwing.
I won't stop now.
The big problem for us here will be as if he has a Quicksand. I'm not going to play against Quicksand against this deck. This is like typically a very aggressively styled deck, and they just don't have the room for it. Troll Chant's their usual problematic card of choice, but we even, in this style of deck, quit playing Troll Chant. We just go for the +1/+1 things. But long story short, I don't suspect that they ever have the Quicksand to get the gigantic boom on you. It's probably just going to be a Troll Chant at best. Alright, so the downside for this upcoming turns, we're finally going to be coming in with Poppy. She's a little bit weak here, and this is his turn to play Sejuani. Just a Yeti. Okay. So do we want to add a Darkened Lodestone into this set? Kind of like putting the Lodestone onto Esmuth and then using Esmuth to give Poppy +2/+2. Then we'll still have a combat trick for another combat in here. I think this is okay.
Arda's gonna make a meal of them. I'm attacking.
Harry, riposte. You are toast.
So we give it one of these. Poppy's nice and meaty. He shouldn't be able to get a kill onto her. Have a potential combat trick onto Taric. Take down one of these 5/5s. See how it goes.
This one's a fighter.
Come face me.
We do have to worry about the big overwhelm hit next turn. He's going to be able to punch into Poppy with some of this, which would be a little bit painful. If he has a Sejuani, we've probably lost the game. You can look at that as some argument to just let this Tayari die. Oh, Battle Fury. I dig it. Always dig it. Well, that's going to be enough, my dude. GG. So, all right, not a bad set of battles. It's tough. We were bested quickly. We haven't been playing as competitively as typical here, and so it's a little bit caught off guard. But as I mentioned, it's kind of a struggle with this lineup. I know we came into it having one set of ideas, and then we just didn't follow through with it. I'm not entirely certain what you want the lineup to look like these days. If I don't think you can do what we did, right? The idea with this was that we were going to just ban Seraphine, and we knew that the Vayne matchup wasn't that great. I was pretty certain that we were just going to play against Vayne and Seraphine in pretty much every single matchup, and we did not have a good lineup for that. I feel like it's pretty safe at this point to say that you just have to ban Seraphine in every match, and this is probably more so true than in any format we've ever seen. It's kind of a bummer to be in that space, right? We finally learned that you can just ban the best deck and also play it yourself. But I have no desire to even risk having to play Seraphine ourselves. And so I think if you're looking to get in some of these gauntlets, you probably just have to have the mindset of, well, let's just ban Seraphine, and then I'm going to do the best I can against the Vayne deck. And we didn't really do that well. And so I think that this is probably a decent space to be bringing in a lot of the Freylord for a lot of the Frostbites. That's what we did last week. We weren't super happy with our lineup last week, and that I think we went a little bit overboard, but we were really looking to kind of pursue the idea of playing 3 Frostbite decks into all the OTK decks. And that's probably not a terrible space to be in right now if we're going to look to ban Seraphine and then still be decent against the Vayne. And then as we saw from some of our opponents here today, looking to bring some of those big bruisery style overwhelm decks, that's a good spot for those Frostbites to hit. And so it's kind of a bummer. It is a little painful here. I felt like we could have been okay if those two decks were split, but having the lineups with both Vayne and Seraphine in them are something we should have wholeheartedly assumed was going to happen, given that's the most powerful thing that you could do in the format right now, and we weren't exactly prepared for it. But that's okay. I had fun with this. I hope you did too. We're going to have a sweet one for the next one. I'll go ahead and give you a small spoiler. The next video we will be playing Gauntlet, but we'll have a nice special little twist on it for Battles with Bust number 200. A little bit of Bust flavor coming at you for that one. And so, I had fun with this. I hope you did too. That is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. I hope your Seraphine matches go as intended. I hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.